It was really challenging and also exciting to talk to Amanda and figure out the changes to differentiate those specific time periods, before it all happened and then during prison and then, in life years after it happened.
One of the amazing takeaways for me was that she has come out of the darkest part of this chapter.
Many people think they know my story. But now, finally, it's my turn to tell it.
Blown away by this series. I, going into it, did not know what to expect because this story has been told a few times before, but this is such a unique approach to telling it. Grace, for you in playing Amanda, there's some kookiness to the character at the beginning and showing her personality, which we've really never seen in adaptations before. How much did you get to know Amanda when getting ready to play this role?
That was a huge part of it. I was able to thankfully speak to her and ask her a million questions, and it was so important that I heard her side of the story, because that was the most important part to me, is to portray how she felt throughout this whole sequence of events that the world seems to think they know so much about.
And Giuseppe, for you, something I noticed watching this series is it really gives both sides of the story in a way that we have not seen before. And there's a really heartbreaking scene towards the end of the series where you're talking about your character and how life has just changed forever because of the events that happened. How did you figure out how to play so much of this that happened over such a long period of time? Like, how did you figure out how to center the character?
Oh, wow, that's a beautiful question. Because, when you go through several months of shooting, you are very totally, into the story, into every single elements, information. I like to study, I like to read books, watch videos. So I was at the beginning in October, I was pretty prepared to know the entire arc of my character. But then I found this amazing actress on my side, and everything felt so easy to go through. So actually, I love working with Grace. We especially in the scene at the end of the series, we found some interesting moments together, some very deep emotion to share at the same time simultaneously. And so when you are surrounded by an amazing team and amazing colleagues, it's pretty easy. I don't want to say it's super easy, but it's easy to deliver something meaningful.
Oh,
And for both of you, these characters, you're performing so much of this in multiple languages. And Grace, the competence with Italian from the first episode for Amanda all the way to the end, it grows so much. But seeing you play this character over decades of time, did you find that you had to figure out where she was at each phase in her life when playing these scenes?
yeah, definitely. I mean, you see so much time pass and um in such specific moments, and the jump of it was really challenging and also exciting to talk to Amanda and figure out the changes to differentiate those specific time periods, before it all happened and then during prison and then, in life years after it happened, and how she felt then, and the being able to readapt into normal life. That was such an interesting thing to talk about with her. So differentiating it was interesting to figure out.
This is such an amazing performance from both of you in this, and I really do think that this is going to change a lot of people's perspective, getting a whole lot more to the story. But I really appreciate your time today. Thank you both so much. Big fan of yours, and love so many of the performances you've done in, Jack Ryan and Dopesick and all these different projects that you've done. In this one, this is different because obviously this is rooted in a real person and somebody who's gone through a lot of these ordeal and is directly involved from a legal standpoint in so many of the things that happen. How do you even figure out where to center this character? Like, did you go to Amanda and find out about the character? How did you just center yourself in this role?
Well, first of all, thanks for all the nice stuff you said at the beginning there. There's a lot to grab onto as an actor here, and as a parent, and there's obviously a lot to use for resources online because this family became notorious through no fault of their own. So I started with Amanda's autobiography, Waiting to Be Heard, she wrote that and released it about a year after she was released. So there were fun bits and pieces in there about her dad, how he kind of became a champion of hers in the media coverage that was going on at the time, sort of shifting the narrative from all of the horrible things that were being said about her, and getting everybody kind of back on track about, this is a girl who was playing soccer like a year ago in Seattle, and she's a straight A student, theater geek. She's never been in trouble. So I found that there was a whole lot to kind of meditate on and really chew on. It was provided a great space to work as an actor, but there's so many timeless narratives that go into this story that I was kind of jazzed by. I really wanted to learn more about it because I remember the initial coverage in 2007, but I don't have a sharp memory of the moment of her exoneration. So this happens in like March 2015, and that kind of goes by as a whisper. And so the person that is in the middle of this thing is on a journey for the rest of their adulthood, perhaps, to exonerate themselves in the minds of all the people who read the initial coverage. The idea of a young person losing control of the narrative of their life and struggling to get it back. It's just really a story worth investigating, I thought.
A lot of times with these true crime tales, they are just so dark and they are just rooted in the seriousness of the situation. But there's a unique view in this series where it kind of brings some of the personality quirks of who Amanda is, mm-hmm. and like the early scenes of, the family photos and some of the levity in that. Was this a project behind the scenes that there was some levity in between taking on all these serious scenes?
Well, Amanda is a funny person. One of the amazing takeaways for me was that she has come out of the darkest part of this chapter with her sense of humor and her heart largely intact. I mean, talk about a coup. So I think the other thing that made that necessary, if we're going to tell this story about Amanda, is that, one of the things that got her in trouble initially is kind of not betraying utter sadness at the time of the murder of Meredith Kercher. And the reality is, in life, our darkest moments are often speckled with moments of levity. And it's a weird thing, and I think it's how human beings get through those dark times. So I feel like it was very important to make sure that it was not all one note, because it wouldn't, I feel, read true to life if it had been.
And I think that definitely comes through in the series. It's a very balanced portrait and very realistic. Enjoyed watching it. Your performance is great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks very much. Nice to meet you.
There's been kind of a resurgence in these style of stories based on true stories over the last several years, with streaming being a great platform for it. The times that Amanda's story's been told in the past, they've been very melodramatic. They've been feel kind of one-sided and very tabloid-esque. This series did not come across that way at all. And I loved at the beginning, it has some of the quirkiness of her personality injected into the story. KJ, was that kind of key to cater this to who Amanda was as a person and mimic who she was in real life?
Yes. Thank you. First of all, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it and that it was compelling to you. Amanda has been called an enigmatic figure because of the spectacular fascination with her and what has been deemed polarizing about her. In meeting her, getting to know her, and trying to embody who she was before the drama and trauma of the events of 2007, her subsequent imprisonment, perverted that sense of her. I needed to find something that expressed her worldview. And Amélie was Amanda's favorite film. And it was also her alibi the night of Meredith's murder. She was watching it in Raffaele Sollecito's apartment with him. And as I was trying to find a lens through which to look at Amanda and a lens out from which to look at the world from Amanda's point of view, Amélie seemed absolutely perfect with her naivete, with her audacious hope, with her charming willfulness to make connections where there weren't any, to see things as beautiful when they weren't. It just struck me as so aligned with Amanda's personality and her worldview. So yes, I'm really glad that you saw that. And it was important to reintroduce Amanda Knox to the world early in the series before she was maligned Foxy Knoxy.
And it definitely comes through. Warren, for you, you've been a part of so many phenomenal projects over the years. What really drew you to this? What told you this was the way that this story could be told, unlike any other?
Well, I think the more we engaged with Amanda, we were kind of blown away by the journey she had gone on, not the least of which. And yes, there's the coerced confession and all that meant, the wrongful conviction. But then Amanda decides that she wants to develop a relationship with her prosecutor and reaches out letter after letter and then calls and builds a relationship. And her goal is that she wants to eliminate the monster label that's been attached to her, but also attached to Manini. And I think when we sat in a room and heard Amanda talk about that, and for Manini, as long as he had done this for his entire career as a prosecutor, no one had ever done that before. And we were also struck by what that meant. Tearing away those labels for both her and for him meant, I think we were in territory that true crime doesn't take on, right? And that was a real motivator for us.
And I love that, there's so many of these series that get labeled as true crime, and they are varying degrees of truth. And I love that this series, as you get towards that final episode, it doesn't necessarily tie things up in a neat bow. It does from a full circle arc for Amanda, but it doesn't give us a definitive answer. KJ, was that important for you and Amanda and everybody involved to really kind of just be realistic with it?
Yes, I have often said that what I have discovered through heavily researching this project and getting to know Amanda is that certainty is different than truth. And I found that through this project that certainty is often the enemy of truth. And that anytime we try to do anything but reflect a dimensional, multifaceted view of something, we are doing the story a disservice and the audience a disservice. It was really an imperative for us to tell a broad and deep telling of this very complicated story.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.